Hi everyone, I'm Yildiz from Yildiz Readings 5D. We're going to cover your astro forecast, covering all your romance, your career, you name it, we're covering it. Now, we did have an action-packed October, and we did have the full moon in Taurus on October the 31st. Now, I'll be covering each of these within each of your zodiac signs. Please look at your sun, moon, and rising. And if you do want to book a reading, you can go to the link directly below. We're also going to be doing additional reads during the month, and connected in with this, I'm going to be giving you chakra updates and more. Now, we do have this month Jupiter conjunct Pluto, and it's really amping off moving to December. So what I'm preparing to do for you guys is trying to get everything as organized as possible so you guys know what's coming up in your chakras, what's coming up in your charts, so you're well and truly prepared for each transit. Now, we are having Mercury in Scorpio going direct on the 3rd of November, and I think most of us will be relieved by that factor. We're also having Mars and Aries direct on the 14th of November, and then we're going to be having Neptune in Pisces direct on the 29th. So yet again, we will be glad that those planets are going direct. It's not to say we're out of the woods, but most of what's really coming up is very much connected to our health with the Taurus full moon that we had on the 31st, which again, I'll still be making references to it because it's still through the month will be resonating and connecting with your charts. And then we're going to be having a new moon in Scorpio at 23 degrees, which is the critical degrees, and it's on the 15th. But yet again, I will connect them with that. And then last but least, before we get into your actual chart, zodiac by zodiac, we have the full moon in Gemini at 9 degrees on the 30th of November, which is a lunar eclipse. And it is connected to the nodes. So we do currently have the North node in Gemini and the South node in Sagittarius. Now, for each of you, that nodal effect will take on a very different vibration. We're moving towards the energy of Gemini, which is a transformative period, which is connected to 2.5 years. So there are themes that are going to be coming up, and definitely it will be quite pivotal connected to this lunar eclipse in Gemini. Now, it can link back to May when the nodes did shift, where we did have a new moon at 2 degrees on the 22nd of May. So again, we will look at those energies and we'll tap into your charts and tell you how it goes. For those of you that you do want a reading, you can go, as I mentioned, to the link below. Now, let's get into your messages. Okay, Sagittarius, let's get into the energy of this report for you guys. Now, this report will be very comprehensive. You can fast forward. There's imagery on top of this video. It will connect in for the first section with the moon of what we had on the 31st. The next section will be linking to the new moon in Scorpio and how it's going to affect you. And I'm going to give you tips and tricks to deal with this. Then we're going to go to the whole month and really pull it in to make it shorter so you understand what's up with the hood. Then into your romance, and again, you can forward this video, go to the imagery, and it will connect in with the areas in question. You do really have a very interesting chart this month, and do be mindful that with the nodes in Sagittarius and Gemini, for the next 2.5 years, both with yourself and your connections, your marriages, contracts, partnerships are under deep transformation. Now, we kick off this month with full moon in Taurus. It was in October the 31st, but it's going to resonate inside of this month's zodiac energy for about 2 weeks. So there's going to be themes to do with the 6th house placement for you guys, which is your health, your working environment, your habits, your routine. And it is, we do deem it in astrology of the house of hidden enemies. And it can be within ourselves or it can be with other people. This also can link to pets as well. Now, because it's in the zodiac sign Taurus, there can be themes to do with diet, health, and being a full moon, it's money that we can spend in these areas, what we do, maybe changes in that area, making sure your bills are on track, but we will get into other energies that is making aspects this month in the report connected to the astrology. Do be mindful that October 31st, we had a conjunction point with Uranus and Taurus, making a conjunction point to the full moon in Taurus. with that, you will find that something quite suddenly can happen in this area. So you do need to pay close attention to your health. You do need to be cautious when working. It can be something really great, but it can be something extremely sudden. So whatever that chain of events is going to be, it can play over the next week to 2 weeks where you're moving things about, where you're shifting things, to get back in balance. There are a lot of subjects this month at a collective level where we are physically looking at things and checking the viability of them, be it it's in our health, it's in our relationships. We have Venus currently in Libra for till about mid-month. We're having it shift on the 21st of October. So with this moon energy, pay attention to the energy and the themes that are coming up highlighted to this. Make sure you take care of your health. Now, the next moon phase isn't until the 15th, but for you guys, it does connect in with Scorpio. Now, Scorpio's in your 12th house placement. So if you have been having a hard time during this Mercury retrograde, it is in Scorpio at the moment, and we are on the first day of the month having the Sun in Scorpio conjunct Uranus and Taurus. So between your health and your crown chakra, because it does link to crown chakra, 12th house is your subconscious mind, it's hidden resources, it's secrets, it's enemies, it's your social responsibility. It can be the house of incarceration, cognitive energy, so to speak, at times, as well as the house of imprisonment. So providing we're coming correct in these areas, there's many ways this can be playing out. One, it can be playing out to a point that if we haven't done things correctly, we can get in trouble, obviously. Other areas could be really paying attention because we still will have Mercury retrograde, which means there can be crosswise. We also will have the energy of Mars retrograde, so careful again because we're going to feel letharged. We might feel heated and angry. Another area is this, okay, with the 6th house, it can be, working really hard to get some of our hopes and dreams. But the Sun's in Scorpio. So there could be that secretive energy going on, your intuition to do with certain areas, to do with the 6th house. Maybe you have some great ideas as to how some things can change. Also, with your health, maybe you have an inkling that you need to get a checkup. And this is a really great month, getting into yin and yang to actually have those checks if you feel they need to be done. We are going to have Mercury going direct on the 3rd, but I'll get into that report on the in the next section of this video. But really, when it does come to the new moon in Scorpio, it's going to be at 23 degrees. So prior to it moving forward, there can be tension. Once it does move forward, you're going to find you're going to be using that time frame to really integrate, work on, transform that. But there are other aspects I will mention in the transit report. Now, let's look at your transit support. As I mentioned, I'm going to try and pull this in as tight as possible so we can go into the other sections of your chart. We're also going to be having a chakra report to help balance you guys this month. And that's so you can have the best information to keep you grounded during this transit. You do have a lot of 12th and 2nd house placement going on this month. So separately to all the other placements, the one thing I will say is self-esteem, emotions. It can be pastimes, it can be your mind, your belief systems. 2nd house can link to your resources, but it also can be after the Taurus full moon, our diet, the things we consume, the things we go to when we feel emotional with the 12th house placement. Pay attention to that because that area is definitely transforming. Even if you feel you've got all these magical ideas being a Sagittarius, because the South Node is in Sagittarius, which is your 1st house placement, you're going to need to try and do things differently. Things potentially that you did before may not work as well. It's because we now have the South Node in Sagittarius, and to balance your life out, you need to be moving towards the Gemini energy. We're having an eclipse in Gemini, which towards the end of the video I'll mention. Gemini does hit your 4th house placement of home. So paying close attention to potentially some of these ideas that you have, maybe not creating a sanctuary where you can have a woman cave or a man cave, having time where you can do you, having time to actually tune into what your needs are without having to Articulate it right away, pausing before you speak. And I'm not really feeling that to be a huge issue. I more feel summing up information and having the time to really alchemize some of your goals is key. And as long as you're routine, fourth house placement can be hard work, lots of lessons in that house, but you will really balance things out once you realize by having that structured routine, by having that foundational situation, by connecting in those marriages, contracts, partnerships areas, home related dynamics can flow a heck of a lot better. There can be a lot of subjects to do with that coming up. Now with Mars retrograde, it is connecting to your fifth house placement, and we'll get into that, why I'm mentioning it in a moment. One of the days you need to be super mindful of, or two actually, it's around the 7th and the 8th. Jupiter is going to be in conjunction Pluto, in conjunct Pluto. So it's both second house places. There could be some really great opportunities here. There could be subject matters coming to a head where we need to look at what we need to let go of. Tying up of loose ends. There may be some things that you feel, a creative way in which you can actually gain some resources. This could be if you're no longer utilizing something, what you would need to let go of. It can be also with the second house placement, it will directly belong to you. It's either a tool inside yourself that you have as an attribute, or physically something very different, ways of being, needing to let go of certain things. Especially when it hyperlinks up to Uranus and Taurus, health, making sure that we're healthy, but assets and things to that degree. If you feel that you no longer need them, there could be things that you are shifting about, selling and getting rid of. This can increase it. We're also having on the 9th a very difficult aspect. I can't say it's really difficult. It's difficult. It's ironic because we have Venus and Libra in opposition to Mars and Aries, and it is the connection of your 11th and your 5th house. Now, because we have Aries and Chiron retrograde, Aries is the wounded, Chiron is the wounded healer. It's going to be in that zodiac sign for 7 years. As it goes retrograde, it is a time to reflect upon the 5th house placement. For you, it links to romance, children, and luck. And you're a Jupiter energy. Please don't feel down on yourself. Okay, so how will this play out? Some of your hopes, dreams, and ambitions inside of these things, you may not have the energy, and there can be some triggers and contention on this day. If you're in a partnership and you have children, you don't have to be in a partnership to have children. It's not the way society has been these days. And that can be good and bad. So with that, there can be situations playing out that can be quite emotional. Also in the yin and yang effect, as Mars goes direct, masculine energies will feel more in alignment. All of us collectively have masculine and feminine elements inside of us. Energy-wise, having to go and achieve some of those hopes and dreams might be a bit testing. Social endeavors, socializing, hanging out with friends, pastimes that you used to do. It may even be not having the energy to do that, and maybe emotions coming up and devices being used to pacify certain emotions coming up. So it's a warning date to be mindful of. Connections can be a bit testing on those days, so keep that in mind. Now on the 14th, we are going to be having Mars going direct. By this stage, you should start to feel a little bit more energetic. It won't feel right away because we still will have Aries and Chiron retrograde until the 15th of December, which will give you some time to reflect upon where these wounds in your life, emotionally, spiritually, physically, may have been holding you back. Then we hit the 15th, which I have already discussed, the new moon in Scorpio. It is at the critical degrees, which is almost like there's no turning back. We've reached a point, we've used the Mercury retrograde. We have the sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, now the new moon in Scorpio. All the 12th house placement, things that you've had in your mind, creative ideas, spiritual psychic downloads. Scorpio is deeply psychic, and it's also the investigator of the zodiac sign. So if you have had to do some investigating into maybe where some of these ideas can be channeled, where some of the psychology has been coming up for you, your emotions, And again, being a Sagittarius, you guys have the most amazing ideas. You're the innovators of the zodiac. So trust it. But also then moving forward, you will be looking at what you'd need to do, what you have at your disposition to make some of those hopes and dreams come true, with Venus and Libra squaring Jupiter and Capricorn. Now, with the Jupiter aspect this month, I'll definitely say there are going to be large opportunities to have financial and forward motion to do with these hopes and dreams. So please do trust it and follow through. Try not to get too cooped up in your mind. Move through the fair, keep challenging where the self-esteem basis is with the 6th and the 2nd house. Then we're going to have on the 21st Sun entering Sagittarius. You will have more vitality. You will feel more yourself. You will be like, oh, let's go back to the heydays. You're going to feel more yourself, but be cautious, because if it's overzealous, it can accidentally come through, because Sun relates to ego, but it also can connect to psychic downloads, your intuition being on point. Trust it. Venus enters Scorpio on the same day, hitting your 12th house. Both you and hopes, dreams, subconscious mind, tapping into it, sensing where you're at. I do feel, because the Sun is entering Sagittarius, it'll be a good day to actually sit and meditate. Sit with your feelings. You also may find with your connections you can be more secretive. Then we have on the 24th, we have Mercury in Scorpio trining Neptune in Pisces. Although we've had the new moon in Scorpio, we're going to have Venus in Scorpio, Mercury's in Scorpio. This can be a lot of conversations to do with home-related dynamics, the routines, your hopes and dreams, and potentially some of the foresight that you had during this retrograde. But I do feel subjects to do with home will be in highlight. On the 29th, we are having Mercury in Scorpio sextiling Jupiter in Capricorn. And again, a very great day when it does come to you being able to really manifest some of these things in. Have these great creative ideas and gain at a financial, physical 3D level. On the 29th, we also have Neptune in Pisces going direct. Home-related dynamics can start flowing a bit better, and there could be subjects to do with home movement or cleaning up, renovations, etc. Especially with the full moon in Taurus, it's trying to pull everything together at a financial level to have all you need to move forward, and really having to use your creative mind to make this happen. Then on the 30th, we're having the lunar eclipse in Gemini. It's going to be at 9 degrees and it is hitting your 7th house. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you do have the north and the south node there. The north node is Gemini. It is your relationship sector. Communication is the key. There can be school-related dynamics. There can be communication, movement. There can be the daily routine with the axis of the 4th house. Whatever this is, look back to May, where you were then, when the nodes shifted, and where you are now. Then have a breather for a few days. Integrate. I'll try and get all the astrology for the following month ready well and truly ahead of time, so you're prepared moving into December and 2021, so you know how to navigate forward and what to expect. The last 3 months of the year have been, will be, and have been really, even 3 months previously, very, very heavy in energy, especially astrologically. So we use these maps, so to speak, to help us get through so we don't feel we're crazy and we take the direct steps that we need to, especially prior to the transit. And sometimes, yes, when you're in alignment, these subjects can have well and truly played out to a degree. With the eclipse in Gemini, pay attention to your daily routine. Definitely this month, especially during the Mars retrograde effect. Energies can be very tense. Be very patient, both with yourself and with others. If you feel you need to go into hermit mode to have time out, please do so. We're going to get into the energy report for your chakras. Okay, now as I mentioned, we're connecting them with the chakra report. For your chakras this month, because you do have a lot of 12th house placement, it will directly link to your dream state, your psyche. 12th house placement, utilization of clear quartz can assist. You also will have with the crown chakra, the third eye activation. So with it, drinking fluid can actually help balance it, and guided meditation. As per food groups, there's really nothing connecting to that area that can really balance it. But guided meditation, having time to meditate, drinking fluid can assist, in crystals. Now, also with the third eye, it will link to the frequency for 2.5 years due to the fact it connects with Sagittarius, your intuition, your vision, your dreams. Having that as a crystal, if you can find a crystal for you that does link into third eye energy, it will assist with Jupiter, Neptune, and Sun energy, as well as any moon transit. So, do your guided meditation, do your third eye clearing. You can eat the food groups linked to that chakra, which will help balance you over the next 2.5 years. And, knowing that the gems, what they're linked to, and the fact that you are going to have the axis of Sagittarius and Gemini for 2.5 years, it is your own energy, but because you're having a transformation, it is a soul upgrade. So having that balanced and being able to cope with that at a personal level is going to be deeply important. We also have higher heart chakra and heart chakra activation this month, and that's due to the fact that we had the full moon in Taurus. We have Libra and Venus, and we also have Aries and Chiron, which is higher heart chakra. So again, green food groups, pink quartz for gems, guided meditation, and really paying attention. Is it overactive? Is it underactive? There can be a purgatory effect during that time. Obviously, if you need to get a checkup, get a checkup. This is from an astrological standpoint, and chakras based on the current energy. We're also going to be having our solar plexus activated, and that's due to the fact that we do have the frequency of Aries and Scorpio. So solar plexus, to manage that, again, guided meditation, the food groups, they can be orange food groups, crystals, etc. Very separately, although the third eye links to Jupiter, we also have the sacral chakra linked to Sagittarius. So with the inner child energy and things to that degree, both your intuition and the inner child will be activated. These energies can help you balance so you can get the best out of the transit. It's a bit like a well-oiled machine. We driving a car, needing an oil change the spark plugs, and you get the best out of the situation. Change is always happening, so please don't fear change. I do feel this can be a really fantastic month for you. Let's get into the next section. Health. We all need to know about that, don't we? Like I mentioned, fluid. Please don't become dehydrated. Check your fluid intake. Transformations and spiritual changes. Mars retrograde, we may have been having very heavy carbs, sugary energies. Thus the reason we've had the full moon in Taurus being a purge of that was luxurious. Or maybe even at times a pacifier, especially with the 12th house placement. What do we go to support our emotions? Emotions and wounds linking from the 5th house, romance, children, and luck. Maybe feeling like we're down on our luck. Maybe feeling that some of these beautiful creative ideas, due to circumstances, we have been unable to implement. With it, what you have at your devices is going to be your toolkit, and it will actually make you more creative. So please trust in that process. Again, I do see major changes happening in these areas, potentially even contention with the romance house, but only if you're triggered and only if there's cross wires. Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, the sun in Scorpio, there can be a bit of push-pull energy when it does come to our health and feeling that maybe something's been hidden from us. So we can be slightly more superstitious with it, maybe researching and looking further. Yes, always trust your intuition, but relate to it in a healthy fashion. So with your health, I do feel, because we are having the sun in Sagittarius, Venus is going to be in Scorpio. The things that we hide to do with our passions can be as important to us as another. Now, let me break that down. There can be something emotional that's triggering us that we feel potentially another person may or may not accept. So there can be secretive energy inside of the things we like to do, the foods we like to eat, our pastimes, our social endeavors, and things to that degree. This can be coming up during the new moon in Scorpio, and that can be great or negative. It depends on how we resonate within the astrology and what directly, in a circumstantial effect, is occurring separately and how we directly deal with it. I hope I've made sense in that one. Another area I can say in your health is the fact that with the Taurus moon, and when we have Venus and Scorpio sextiling Uranus and Taurus, really transforming those areas, looking at the reasons why we maybe get triggered, looking at the reasons why we're getting burnt out. Is there something going on at work where you're feeling you're not getting the notion of the limelight? And what you're going to do to move the situation forward. Some of you are majorly making big dreams and decisions to move house. It could be purchasing a house, but it's shifting those things about, pulling everything together. It maybe even within connections, keeping it extremely private. Most of all in health, I would say take a little bit of time for you, especially when you're needing to quiet to listen to the mind. Now, yes, you do have some real great ideas coming. You also do have a lot of things that are going to start moving in a correct direction. Some of you could potentially be working from home, and I do need to, really articulate it linking to that, because you do have fourth house placement, and because of what's going on in the collective, there are at times with that first and seventh house and the fourth house subjects to do with our physical home and how it can directly impact our work domain. Now, that can be because you are working from home, or it can be because of subjects occurring at home linking to romance, children, luck, are kind of a juggling act. You do tend to find with the first and the seventh house axis, there is a lot to do with who you are, healthy boundaries with self, a rewiring of the way you see your connections, what you actually are, supposed to be doing, which is always listening to your higher self and doing what you feel is right by you first and then by others. If we're always operating for other people, we're never operating through our full truth. And that transformation can be very difficult. And sometimes people's expectations weren't even what they had, but it's a belief we've formed in our mind. And I hope I've really broken that down well enough. You will understand once you do go through this transformation of the first and the seventh house, that people can have expectations, but it's whether you're willing to deliver. I do feel there's a lot of that being looked at the moment. I do feel you're really having a very large spiritual awakening. You're going through a very deep transformation. The transit with the first and the seventh house really does bring that. We do look at our careers and where we've been standing in our way. If we can change things up, and there can be frustration during it, but you are going to learn a lot. You're definitely going to be filling that second house up, which can be emotionally, physically, mentally speaking, you can be filling that cup to the point it's going to benefit you with the 12th house placement. So food for thought financially, yes, I do see between the 15th moving forward financial gains. I'm also seeing caution around your belief systems to do with romance and children. Money can be going in that direction, and also directly connected to your health and work. So pay attention. If you feel you need a checkup, go and get it done. Take care of yourself and that domain, and try not overwork yourself. Concentration can be a major theme until Mars and Mercury go direct, so there could be some fogginess. Really pay attention to the roads as well with the nodes in Gemini. Big themes to do with family can initially be health and finances. There also can be daily routines that need to be shifted about. On the 9th, as I mentioned, there can be contention, misunderstandings, maybe what somebody else wants versus what you want. It can be a juggling act on that day. I also feel you may feel like you want to go into hermit mode. So although there may be dynamics going on, there can also be some dynamics going on with you personally. I also see with Mars going direct, being mindful that fifth house placement can connect to children, childhood. So especially with Aries and Chiron retrograde, that people again can be more agitated, not seeing eye to eye. And I've always found that at the very end of Mars going direct, as it's reached that last week, just prior to going direct, it can be deeply aggressive. So just take stock of that. Keep that in mind. All of us collectively have a womb base and a house placement with that. I do feel with all the things you're trying to do, it can be to build. So all this rebuilding that you're doing inside yourself, You know, people are actually going to be motivated by you. People are going to look at you and go, okay, you must have some psychic download here, because I feel you're getting prepared before you need to, which is good. It's stay ready. That's sort of the energy I'm feeling. By the third week, I do see finances, a lot of responsibilities coming your way as well when it does come to, you know, having to look at it. Maybe you've been unable to. Maybe you have limited resources at the moment due to the strictness of Pluto, Saturn, and Capricorn. That is shifting. It's a rebuild in that area, so it will ease up. People may say that you're actually feeling or appearing to be more yourself, more bubbly. You can end up being more social, and it will tend to flow better by the time we have the new moon in Scorpio. And I'm also seeing social gatherings. There can be an event where you guys are coming together during this month, where many of you are just trying to get away and go away together. This can even be with the people that you directly love. I do feel the need for privacy inside this month, and some of you in your own direct family, yes, your extended family, your DNA family may be hermiting away from them or wishing to. Love. Let's talk about love. Now, this is for singles, couples, in-betweeners, on the fence, love in general. If you do want me to look at your chart and a love interest, please feel free to book a reading, and I can cross-reference and tell you how both of you are seeing this situation currently. Now, with the 6th house, and you got the 11th house, and you got the 12th house, and you got the 2nd, let's break it down. Because we do have Mercury in Scorpio retrograde until the 3rd, and then it'll be in shadow till about the 15th, you can feel more private, especially with the 12th house. It may be a bit difficult for you or your partner to see eye to eye, and that's because you're having an integration. It's because you're really dealing with hopes, dreams, goals. Now, the connection of the 11th house is your social endeavors, your pastimes. It can be hobbies, things you like to do in a social setting. You guys are very social energies, point blank zero. You're Sagittarius energy. You're, running for the clouds, wanting to venture into uncharted territories. And you do have the axis of the 1st and the 7th house. Because we do have Venus in Libra, until it hits on the 21st, Venus in Scorpio, you will be looking at your relationship very closely and maybe being more private, definitely speaking about maybe your hopes, your dreams, your ambitions. Some of those things could be family related, home related, but definitely when it does come to the bigger picture, I do feel you want to bring a more playful scenario in. Now, it could be for some of you that it has been a little bit more playful and, having to lighten up in the situation, bridging the gap when it does come to the things that you have in common. And looking at those, especially with the Taurus full moon, are they healthy? Are they happy? Do they bind to the contract? Do they bridge it together? Because we do have 8th house placement collectively. Is there something that we need to let go of? This could be a wound, it could be an emotion. And what are we going to do to bridge the gap? As I mentioned, by mid-month, you will find that you feel more yourself. You also may have a strong, firm belief about something moving forward. You may be more strict with certain areas, but I do feel deep fatigue energy moving through the month, trying to achieve all of these things, so tempers can run high. Now, those of you that are single and you're waiting for your love interest, and I will mention those of you who don't have one, how this can be playing out. Those of you waiting for this person and wondering what they're doing, due to the fact that we had Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, it is connecting in with the 12th house. There is deep meditation going on here. There's deep reflection. There may be some things that are really causing psychological BS, so to speak, where they're really tuning into, how they're seeing things. For those of you cross-watching or directly you inside your own life. There also can be great spirituality, trying to gain peace in your life, trying to pull things in, really focusing on what you have and getting your foundation right to where you want to be comfortable, especially on the home front. Financial domains can be coming up and down. There can be expenses as well going out, but I'll mention that separately. But as to those of you wanting to have movement, you will find communication will flow much better as both Mercury and Mars go direct. Now, Neptune, as Neptune goes direct, it won't be till the end of the month. Some of your hopes, dreams, and ambitions can be coming through later, but it will resonate with where you feel at home and who that energy is, especially with the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. Now, large themes in your life also to do with accommodation and your routine can be coming up around the end of the month and getting everything in order. I do feel you're doing a lot. Try and pace yourself. Now, as for romance, if you're single, having the time to achieve these things, the key is going to be your health, healthy boundaries with individuals, taking it slow, feeling that spiritual connection, and having things in common with them that you can actually do in a pastime. And I do feel maybe in the past you felt you've had to be someone you're not. And with the 11th house placement, you want to know that your goals and your dreams are supported, and the people, places, and things are in alignment with that. So there is a huge shift there, and I do feel you, through the process of the next 2.5 years, are definitely going to be shifting with it. So with the 21st, I do feel you guys will be more open to a connection, more ready to. Potentially there can be a little bit of quietness, but I am going to channel the messages psychically and see what comes in. This is very much based on your astrology at the moment where it stands. Now, like I mentioned, the 12th house is really psychic. Scorpio is very psychic. I'm really seeing you guys being very intuitive this month. Your hunches will turn into alchemy. I'm really seeing that, providing you're grounded, providing you're tapping into holistic, healthy ways of dealing with things. I do feel you can have a real grand entrance into 2021. This is a time where you can have all those great ideas, write them down. You could be having information coming to you through your dream state. You can have epiphany moments during the day. Conversations can be coming up. You can be having light bulb moments and releasing in situations. And I do feel if you can take steps in that direction, you're really going to, reap the rewards of that. It's really, really highly highlighted in your chart. Now, it's funny because even with Mars going direct, it does relate to a 5. And the area that you have triggers with is inside the 5th house. So for you in particular, spiritually, emotionally, physically, 5s connect to the area of change. There could be some changes linking with your romance, children, and luck. And sometimes you need to be the Sagittarius and say, I'm going to make these changes happen, especially with the 1st house placement, with the nodes at the moment. You, with the Gemini energy, taking the first step to transform some things in your connections, or maybe looking at the fact that, yes, it does take 2 to tango. If you are looking at these areas, changing things about will come about by mid-month. When you're feeling more in alignment of who you are, I do feel there's a small pocket between the 19th and the 21st, and potentially even the 24th, where you're just going to go, right, downtime, staying home, thinking about these things, wanting to go into hermit mode. And I don't feel it's because you're hiding. I feel it's more because you're having a time frame of meditating, getting grounded again, because some of these things that you're moving towards are going to be quite large. I also feel inside of these hopes and dreams, you could be very, very private. And within these connections, again, it may be very private within your marriages, contracts, partnerships. Now, the eclipse energy, we are having an eclipse this month. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video. It is going to be a lunar eclipse full moon in Gemini. Now, full moons, yes, can be a closing out of a cycle and a beginning of a new one. Tying up the loose ends linking to that can be in the house, the 7th house. Like I said, with the nodes, you do have 1st house placement, which is Sagittarius, and 7th house placement with Gemini. Looking at the areas of your routine, your pastimes, education, can be children's education, your commute, it could be something to do with a vehicle, tying up the loose ends, linking to that. Also within the contracts that you hold with these situations, paying very close attention. Now, contracts can be with many areas. We can have soul contracts, we can have those physical contracts, which in this situation, looking at those areas, what we're going to do to move things forward, who do we directly resonate with? If we've outgrown a job or outgrown a situation, can it be transformed? Can it be moved about? Is it on our side, your side, both sides? And is a reciprocal energy? It's very much the 7th is prior to the 8th house, and collective energy is the 8th house of shared resources. Looking at the give and take in those situations and how you can proceed forward is going to be quite important. And especially when it does come to your actual resources, Pluto's asking you to rejig situations. You may wish to actually get things to assist you to grow. So if you're running a business, for instance, it might be purchasing something to assist with the growth in that area. It may be upskilling or even traveling linking to that. Really, it's going to show you deep clarity as to what is going to need to go, what's going to need to be transformed in order to have that. By the time you have moved through the energy of the Gemini eclipse, you will find that weather patterns 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out can be quite hectic, especially with the full moon in Taurus. You also can link back with the Gemini nodes to May, where the nodes shifted. We did have the new moon in Gemini at 2 degrees on the 22nd. We also had the full moon in Scorpio, and it was at 17 degrees on the 7th of May. So we similarly have that axis coming up for us to be prepared, and the following month is going to have the new moon in Sagittarius. So it's a bit like you are going to have a new opportunity by next month. Shifting these things about are going to be important. Really pay attention to what's happening this month. Journal it down, check back in 6 months and see how far you've gone within those areas and the subject matters that come up. We are going to be having the nodes there for 2.5 years. We also are going to have Aries and Chiron in that position for 7 years. So the things that may hold you back can be memories of the past, memories connected to romances, children, rebirth of situations. It can be our luck and our perspective of, not having enough luck. Why is this happening to me? It can be victim consciousness at times, but it's wounds due to the fact that potentially you did put your money where your mouth is and it didn't quite turn out the way it was supposed to. This can be childhood conditioning as well. So do the integration work in that area. Be mindful when we do have Aries and Chiron next go retrograde. And when we do have Mars going retrograde, it will hit that 5th house placement to help you transform as we move forward. It does tend to stay in both Pisces and Aries for a lot longer than the other zodiac signs. We do tend to have more work in that area. Be careful driving. Mercury can relate to driving. Gemini nodes thus. So pay attention to the road, especially with the 12th house placement. Please have a fantastic month. If you do feel this energy report really helps you through this month and you want more creative content like this, please click the bell, sub if you're a newbie. A very warm welcome, and thank you to all my loyal subs. I love you to bits. I trust that you have a fantastic month. You really can have great bonuses this month. Things will balance out as the month progresses. I will be coming to you live for the psychic romance updates, which I guarantee I'm going to get very interesting messages. Stay tuned and I'll see you on the other side. Love you, Sag.